Okay, so here are the ways we're going to stop being a man manager. We're not managing men anymore. I mean, we have to sometimes to not die. But this, a lot of women who follow me are like, what do we do? Well, this is, nothing's going to change overnight. This is like slow, consistent change daily. But here I have some tips. And this one comes from this book, Emotional Labor. Rose Hackman. We are mutuals. I'm going live with her on Wednesday. That's tomorrow, depending on when you see this. The 13th of November. For the top 2 tiers of my Patreon, and we're going to be discussing all kinds of stuff, including this amazing book. So I want to let's talk about what being a man manager is, and why now more than ever women need to stop. Okay, it's not working. Men apparently really don't care about our rights. I mean, some do, but they're not really doing much. Yeah, my eye is swollen. I was anxious and touching it too much. And now it just keeps getting worse. And it itches all the time and I can't stop touching it. But it's not pink eye. It is just anxiety and OCD, I guess. Anyway, thank you for people who suggested I put warm compress because I've been putting ice on it. And that apparently is the worst thing you can do. Anyway, so what is a man manager? So there's a lot of amazing stuff in this book. But she's right out of the gate. Rose talks about how she was in the car with her mom when she was like a teenager, like 18 or whatever. Her on-again, off-again boyfriend of 3 years, she was 18, was having a little party to celebrate moving out of his parents' home and have his first apartment. And halfway through her ride there, she gets a call from Eric. I'm going to read this part. I don't know how to cook that chicken. I don't know what to do. People are arriving in an hour. It was a stupid idea to have people over. I should have never done this. This was a dumb idea. Wah! Okay, so that is when the little king baby, every time they have a problem, they call you. And what happens? People pleaser, codependent, man manager shows up. She may be feeling like this, but she's going to do this. I can fix it. I can help you. And I love how she's telling this story because we've all done this. We've all done this. Some of us have done it a lot. So she says, there's absolutely no need to worry. It's all going to be completely fine. I can make the chicken when I arrive. Couldn't be easier. So don't you worry about all the labor this is putting on me and my... I have no stress. Everything's fine. I'm calm. I'll do it. What else do you have in the fridge? Have you, whatever. So she immediately starts managing this man, his emotions, and the consequences of his action. If I felt exasperation, I didn't let the feeling live for more than a nanosecond. Patience, reassurance, and love were what I knew I should give, and that's what I expressed. So he had said that he has a dessert. So she's going to come over and make this whole meal for him. Because he didn't think maybe I should... cook before an hour before the party, learn how to cook. Like the man just had a party, but didn't do anything for it. Now, that benefit of the doubt codependent Melanie would be like, oh, that poor guy, he just didn't know. Let's not assume men are dumb. This man knew, he may not have said, I'm going to exploit the labor of my girlfriend and make her do all of it. He may not have actually thought those exact words in his mind, but men know us. They know what we do. They know how we have been conditioned. They just watch. They watch what we do. They know what we do. We will always, besides them being like, I'm the hero, we are actually the heroes in their lives all the time. We save them all the time. We clean up the mess. My husband gave the analogy of what's it called? What do you call it? I can't think of it. It's the Olympic sport where they push the thing and then there's a bunch of people sweeping to make sure it goes through. He's like, I feel like it seems like patriarchy is like women are the sweepers who make sure everything goes well so that the men can just slide to glory, yeah. And then we also basically we sweep before, we sweep after. We clean up. We're the shock absorbers. We suffer the consequences of men's mistakes because, believe you me, they will humiliate us whether you are Martha Stewart, or Beyonce or any, I mean, I swear that's like, it's like a full-time job. It's like a career ambition of men to humiliate women, especially the most successful women. If they have the least bit of insecurity, guess who's gonna pay? Men, I mean, Bill Clinton. I mean, men were like, dang, he's the boss. Got his intern sticking out cigars up, you know? Hillary looked like it. Anyway, I don't want to talk about those two people right now. So this man knew exactly what his girlfriend would do. She would come in and save the day. He would never have thrown this party if he didn't know a woman would do that. And if it wasn't his girlfriend, it'd be one of his female friends. Men don't even have to be dating us to do this to us. So not only does she assure him she's going to do it all, when he says that he has the dirt, she goes, amazing, I chirpily said on the phone. I love it when you make that. Okay, don't worry about the rest. I'll figure out something to go with the chicken and make the sides, the whole meal basically. When I arrive, I have pesto with me. We can do something with that. So delicious. And then his mood shifted. I could almost hear it. He was totally calm now. The panic had gone. His voice was slower. It had gone back to the cadence that suggested a more relaxed, happy state of mind. Ka-ching! She did it! How often do you do that? Even if you are, 4B, if you don't deal with men in general, believe me, you are still doing that somewhere in your daily life. Whether it is that stupid dude on the subway who, I remember riding my bike. It was like a year ago. I'm good at riding bikes. I ride them without my hands. I'm a confident bike rider. and man, but I wasn't even doing that. I was just riding my bike like a normal person. And this older man goes, not only is that annoying and patronizing, I'm like, you probably can't even ride a bike. What are you doing? And you know what, because I didn't have time to think, my default was, and then I hated myself. Because I didn't want him to feel bad. So I validated his dumb joke. So, like decentering men isn't like, it has nothing, it doesn't even mean your relationship status. You can and have to decenter men within your relationships, if you're date men, if you're roommates. If you live with a man, it's very likely, whether it's your husband or your roommate, that he's like gonna just put some labor on you. Sometimes he won't even know he's doing it. He's just gonna assume you're gonna do it. So part of decentering men is like, it's so deep. That's why on my page now, especially, since men seem more committed to not giving a fork about us, let's stop giving a fork about them. Now, if they have earned respect, earned trust, earned your time and energy by doing equally for you, if not more, okay. But it should not be given. It should not be the default. And whether it's laughing at their dumb jokes while you're riding your bike, or it is going and cooking an entire meal for a man who planned a party but had no intention of doing any of the labor of that party, but will take credit for all that labor, in addition to the emotional labor of making him feel like, you know what, it's okay. I'm not going to let you feel guilty about doing this really ridiculous thing that and being lazy. I'm just going to make you, I'm going to protect you from any of the consequences, especially shame, which is why Brene Brown was all like, men are so full of shame. Yeah, they are. But men took that one Netflix thing and were like, we have been centering y'all's shame for way too long. I'm over it. I want you to feel some shame. Maybe not shame, but guilt. Guilt. For, not doing something, consequences. If you feel bad that you didn't buy something on Mother's Day for your own mother, I'll let you feel guilty about that. I'll look bad, but I want you to look bad too now, right? That kind of thinking. And yes, this is a horse. Anyway, up. Rotisserie chicken. Let's continue because there's so many lessons in just this one story. I put the phone back in my lap, my shoulders dropped, and I breathed out, letting go of some of the anxiety that I had been suppressing and feeling relief that I had contained the situation. We're like firefighters. Uh-oh, there's some guilt there. There's some shame there. There's a consequence there. Uh-oh, men's anger. You know? In my mind, I hadn't even arrived at the part of how I was going to cook this dinner. I had absolutely no idea what to do with raw chicken. But that wasn't the point. The point was rather getting my boyfriend to feel good, calm, and collected again. What was important, I had known immediately upon picking up the phone, because no one just says, you're going to have to do this. We pick this up. We watch, we learn from the people we see. We see it in society. We see it everywhere, in movies, books, and literally in the community, everywhere we go. We have an understanding from a very young age that keeping our men good, calm, and it's not just men. I know a lot of women or a lot of people have a mom who is like this, that you have to, manage and contain. So obviously I understand this is a very, it's not just men who do this, but collectively under patriarchy, we are the managers of men's emotions. Now, men can be absolutely codependent. I've seen it plenty, right? And believe me, I've worked for female bosses before that everybody was terrified of, and we all had to manage her emotions all the time. So I just want to say that this is across gender, but on a systemic level. And it plays out in marriages all the time, and in families, and with, all the members of the family. This is what we've been taught to do. Keep them feeling good, feeling calm, and collected. In charge. Not feeling bad. Just put a little pacifier in the king baby so they'll stop. All good, all good. What was important that I had known immediately on picking up the phone was conveying that the situation was under control to him, even if it wasn't yet. She didn't know how to make chicken. I don't either. But you know what? What women are very good at doing is we get it done. That's why Tina Fey, and I think maybe it's her and Amy Poehler, that get stuff done. Yeah. I mean, men just assume we know how to do. I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to do a lot of things. I don't know, Google it, or try, or, teach myself, or call someone, be like, how do I do, but we figure it out. We just do it. It's funny because, my husband works at a company where he deals with clients a lot, and especially after following my page and reading the comments for so long, he's been in boot camp of feminism. A lot of this stuff he knew, but a lot of he really didn't understand the depth of it. And so he's just once you see this stuff, you can't unsee it. The same thing with white supremacy culture, ableism, homophobia, all of it. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And, the more I learn about patriarchy, the more I can't unsee it. This is the same thing when I worked in the film industry. I can't enjoy movies anymore because I know how it operates and I see all the moving parts. So I can't just enjoy it because I know too much, which is a good thing, but it can be annoying sometimes. But whatever. Ignorance is bliss. There's a reason why they say that. And all not all, but a lot of people who come to this business, the women figure it out, and the men are like, I don't know how to do that. And instead of learning, or reading, or whatever, they always just, learned helplessness, and they want someone to do it. So men don't just do this to women. They'll do it to anyone that they have power over, right? So come into a business and are like, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to figure it out. Why do I have to do this? Why, I want someone to do everything, even if that's not the job of the people working there. They just don't want to do it. And he's like, God, God, we're exhausting. We are exhausting. And I was like, yeah, man, you get it. But little by little, I'm hoping women are the more you see it everywhere, the more literally our default should be no. Obviously, this is very nuanced, and sometimes you have to do stuff to not die, or like, because you're like, well, if I don't smile at this guy, I'm a little scared of him. I'm gonna smile at him so he doesn't, me. But, I get more like, more comfortable being like, pausing and being like, do I have to do this? Do I want to do this? Is this my job? Would I do this if a woman asked me to do this? Although that's not always the best question, but why do I feel like I have to do this? Would a woman ask me to do this? Would my best friend, who's a woman who respects me, ask me to do this? And if the answer is no, then don't. Obviously, there is no blanket approach to anything, ever. I looked at my mother, she smiled, and that's when I remember her saying it. You're an excellent man manager. You handled that brilliantly. I couldn't be more impressed. Because mothers are like, oh, she's going to be okay. She understands how to manage men. Women who've been alive longer than us, especially women who lived with less rights, although now it seems like some of them will have had more rights by the time the next, what's coming, whatever. They've been dealing with men at work. They've watched their dads, their brothers maybe, they've sent at school. This starts at such an early age. Girls at school will be asked for the answers to tests, right? And even if they're not asked, some of them who've been seeing this in their own families will just go save their male peers. They'll see one struggling and they'll go tutor him, or they'll give him the answers, or they'll do his. Do you know how many men and boys start exploiting our labor from a very young age? Because that's what they're taught in the home, and that's what they're taught collectively, is they're just helpless and they don't know how to do it. A woman will always come in, swoop in, clean up his mess, and also make things easy for him to just slide right into victory. Which, by the way, remember, anything that I'm saying here, see if it applies to other systems of oppression, right? Because there's a reason why Black women right now are so tired and are like, you know what? Right? So, and why white women, we got to do more, because the learned helplessness thing that we do, well, that's one reason why we're here. I've been doing a lot of videos about that lately, so I'm going to focus on this today. Just important questions. If you're a man watching my stuff, I want you to ask yourself on a regular basis, do I expect a woman to do this for me? Wait. Am I burdening someone with labor right now? Am I asking something of someone right now that I would be insulted if they assumed I'm going to do it, right? So like, men, you got to start asking yourself these questions all the time. And white people have to ask ourselves this. Do we just assume that somebody's supposed to do this for me? That entitlement to the labor of other people. This isn't just a gender thing. Okay. And she talks about that in this book too. This is, all of these systems of oppression are about many things, but one of them, and one of the biggest things, is the exploitation of labor. Expecting a lot of labor that's very necessary and important, but devaluing it, like the same way we treat mothers. We need mothers. We need women and anyone with a uterus to continue literally so the species doesn't die out. And yet they are the people we crap on more than anybody. Put them on a pedestal. Oh, we worship mothers, but then the way we treat them is like crap, So anyway, just there's a way to, you start questioning how this plays out across the board, right? All the time. I see it too in my own life. I'm the person who showed up at holidays because I, lived in my truck for so long and was just the nomad and whatever. And I'm the younger sister, not the older sister. I just showed up at meals, not realizing how much labor went into that meal. The planning, the food shopping, the meal planning, the planning of the event, the phone, email, text, whatever, to gather all these people and coordinate all this crap. The chairs, the seating positions with the children, what they need, meal planning, shopping, preparing, chopping, cooking, cleaning, all that stuff, plus the emotional labor, not just the domestic, and the mental loads. I just come in, eat it, and I'm like, great. That's going to happen. But the fact that I didn't even appreciate how much was put into that is the bare minimum changing, I mean, honestly, there's a lot of those events nobody wants me to do anything. But you know what? I can volunteer to do all the dishes at the end, or I can, like just literally try to figure out ways that I can create less labor for the people who are hosting this event. At bare minimum, I RSVP on time, coming with the things that I was asked to bring. You know what I mean? Anyway, just the bare minimum I can do. And I also know that some women really do enjoy this. I know some women like love it, but they also have never had a break to not do it. So do they really love it? But a lot of women really love feeding people, nurturing people, all that stuff. So I'm not going to come in and just make it harder by trying to like do stuff that, do you know what I mean? Anyway, so I actually have been kind of like a man in my life for a long time. I was like the lone wolf, independent woman, did my own thing or whatever. So my default is not to be like the nurturer, caretaker person. So that's why I think I can act like I understand men a lot in terms of just being like, just show up. Don't even think about it. If you're like me, start thinking about it. Start noticing. Start paying attention. At the very least, be grateful for it. Even if they love doing it, right? Try to ease the burden. Try to do it's expecting women to make your holiday magic. We got to stop doing that. Man manager. I repeated back to myself after she said it. I had never heard the term, and I had no conscious idea it was something I should be striving towards, let alone something I had been performing. But I felt the glow of the compliment and some kind of shift in her words. A complicity, perhaps over a new form of respect. That's something I want women to think about. How much are we getting out of feeling good about ourselves for managing men? Like I said, when I was in that abusive relationship, I realized, again, I'm not blaming the victim here. There's so many reasons why I ended up in that relationship. But in order to not repeat that pattern, I had to see, like, what happened? How did I get into that? And why did I stay? Before I even realized how dangerous it was, I was like, God, this kind of sucks. Why did I stay? And you know what? The main thing that kept me in it, besides we worked together and whatever. I had a long list of reasons why I just stayed as long as I did. I never planned on being with this man this long, and yet I also just kept staying and just putting up with it. But I had to get something out of this. Something. Because if this was just pain and just labor and just sacrifice, why would anybody do this? I felt good. I felt the warm glow of being needed, being a manager of him, being responsible, the only person who could manage his anger, that was me. And then apparently I'm suck at it because, if someone throws a TV at you, and pins you to the ground and does all these violent things to you, are you really a great man manager? Are you really managing them well? Well, apparently not. But feeling needed, what will he do without me? What will he do without me? A lot of women end up, keeping themselves in really oppressive relationships with their sons, their husbands, their brothers, their dads, or whoever, male friends who exploit them, bosses who couldn't manage without them. What will they do without me? That is a form of pick-meism. That is a form of I'm special. I'm good at something. That hero complex. We have to move away from that. Now more than ever. Feeling morally superior to that person that we're helping, that needs us, even if we're terrified of them. I absolutely felt morally superior, and superior in a lot of ways, to that dude I dated. I was terrified of him, and yet I knew I was better than him. It's a really weird place to be. I'm going to just do one more little thing before we start wrapping this up. We moved on to discuss ways to her and her mom to cook chicken and what to do with the pesto. She told me about the timing, oven temperatures, and even how I should handle the chicken and cut it. My mother incidentally also didn't eat meat. So Rose didn't eat meat. She didn't know how to cook chicken. Didn't eat meat. Mother doesn't eat meat. So the irony of this is she didn't eat meat for health reasons, but she had learned how to prepare it and cook it to make the stomachs of people around her happy. So we got not just one woman, but two women in a car who don't eat chicken or meat at all, managing one man and all of these problems that he created himself. Two women are problem solving. And now I want you to ask yourself, with this moving forward, especially, maybe you've been asking yourselves for a long time, maybe you're really good at this already, but I know like we're all in a different level of like decentering men and decentering women who center men and getting this patriarchy voice out of our head, because it's deep and it shows up every day in a new form still. Even when you're not centering men, are you problem solving with a woman who centers men? Are you going around saving women who center men? I'm not saying screw over your friends. I'm not saying, but I want you to start questioning how much you're giving to a woman enabling a man's incompetence or his whatever. Because a lot of, like, this is two women on the job now. And this man gets to have a party with all his friends with delicious food, and he did nothing and gets all the credit. But it's this an 18-year-old and her mother contained the whole situation and pulled it off. What would the world look like if women were doing that for each other? And women, all that energy and problem solving and leadership. And, we are so good at problem solving and figuring things out. In general, making huge generalizations. But we have to. We have no choice. So we just do it. Figure it out. So that learned helplessness, that right, which comes with, which comes with patriarchy, and that men fall into that. White women fall into this a lot. That's what we do. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can go into it more in another video. But expecting the person or people with less power to solve problems that we create. That's part of emotional labor and entitlement. And for a lot of women and girls, this is a rite of passage. The first time we manage a man and solve a problem, that's when we have entered womanhood. Although some of us have been doing this as children for a long time with family members. And what this comes down to, besides everything I've already said, women across the world are taught from a young age to regulate, modulate, and manipulate their feelings in order to have a positive effect on the feelings of others. Whether that's to smile at men who you're like, don't want to smile to, comfort people, strangers. So even, again, if you tap out entirely and don't even mess with men, you're still doing this labor. That's one of the things we've learned to survive patriarchy. We do that. Especially if you are married to men. This is going to have an impact on your health, but essentially this happens so really, especially during holiday season, sometimes it takes a while to change this stuff, but first you have to be aware of it. So maybe you're already aware of it. And now it's about, those first steps of your default being no, or let me think about it. That changed my life when I went, instead of my default being, so the boundaried Melanie, who was like so afraid of being like controlled by somebody, my default was no a lot of times, except for men. Or, whatever is contextual. Or the default being, okay, because when people to like us or whatever, or we don't even realize we can say no. If this is new to you or it's not new to you, but you forgot this, the default being, let me think about it. And then you can check in with your intuition and being like, do I want to do this? Am I going to be mad at myself later on for saying yes, or mad at them later on for them asking me when really, you can be mad for people asking you, because a lot of times people ask things that are ridiculous of us. But when we say yes, when we mean no, when we agree to something without checking in with ourselves, we are setting ourselves up to it's self-abandonment and to hate ourselves or even them. Because we never paused and said, wait, should I be doing this? Do I really want to do this? Do I have to do this? So If nothing else, just being aware of how this plays out as we go into this holiday season. And some of y'all may just like not even be hanging out with some relatives because you're so mad at them for last Tuesday. I fully support that decision, you know? Going and doing a lot of emotional labor to pretend like you're totally fine with what someone did, you know? This is also very nuanced because a lot of people just want to, like, white people want to cut off all their white relatives when sometimes we do need to stay in community with them and to pull them in, right? Some of them are unreachable, so unreachable like a cult. But we know there are some who are like, So, just saying, okay? But I can make a whole video on that if you want. But as we go into holiday season, part of this catering to the building of a pleasant emotional world for the group, whether it is invisibly forging and reforging a sense of emotional self-belonging connection in others, or silently taking on necessary chores and activities everyone benefits from but no one wants to do. It happens in relationships with women who are trained to manage the volatile moods and tempers and chronically put their significant others' feelings, experiences, and desires before their own. Then she goes on to talk about how this plays out in work, in the community. I mean, this book is so good. It's so good. And if this is a great way to start pulling back. We are exhausted. We've been giving too much. We've been enabling men to just cruise on by and just keep getting more power. And we're exhausting. And some of us are literally dying of chronic illnesses because the anger that comes from injustice of being like, why do I have to do all this? This isn't fair. That could actually take your life. You could have the nicest man in the world who never would lay a finger on you, never even raises his voice, but won't do anything. And, you know, gaslights you all the time and just doesn't do it. So you have to do all this stuff and you're angry. That anger could take your life. Both my grandmas died pretty young. I want to break that cycle. They died long before their husbands. One of them was literally a hostage. And she died. You can only be held hostage for so long before it makes you sick. But, you know, no-fault divorce didn't exist back then, and it does now, but maybe not for long. So if you are in one of these relationships, you might want to consider that's going to come back probably. That's what they want, at least. You may want to look into your exit plan if you know that the man in your home is slowly unaliving you through your own invisibility, yet also being so important, through your own rage and sense of injustice, but you don't know what else to do. Because there may be a point where you cannot leave. So just saying, very nuanced conversation. There's finances, there's sometimes abuse, there's all kinds of things. Anyway, I can't wait for this talk tomorrow. So, yeah, please join my Patreon if you haven't already. And even if you don't join a paid tier, I don't have an email list yet. And we know that TikTok could disappear at any day. Pretty sure that's going to happen in January. YouTube, I think, will be around, but I can't control the algorithms. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. So right now, Patreon, even if you can't afford a tier, that's at least where you can keep up with me. So if I go somewhere else or, you know, like whatever, that is kind of my email list for now. So anyway, thanks for being here. Hopefully I'll see some of y'all tomorrow, and take care of yourselves. And really, you know, a lot of where I'm at right now is like take an inventory. Where's my money going? Am I giving money to men by watching their stuff? By supporting businesses that are owned by men? I mean, whatever. It's not hard to get around that one. Am I giving free labor? Where am I giving it? But am I getting anything in return? Or am I just giving and giving and giving? Am I problem solving for men unnecessarily when it's not my job? All these things. That awareness piece is the first step. It's the first step. And also bring in the awareness of, am I doing this for someone that I have power over? Am I doing what men do to me for someone that I have power over? Anyway, let me know what you think. And let me know if you heard that comment song. Okay, y'all. Hold on. Today is a different kind of comment song. This is me taking you to Germany, Christmas market. And I'm going to do a little karaoke at the end. My friend recorded me. Okay, this is like when they pound that thing. Christmas markets are bonkers. This is the kind of stuff I love to share on Patreon, by the way. I do all my travel stuff over there. I have endless travel content, y'all. Well, angels, I'm going to share a karaoke session. This is what I do when I do karaoke. It's very unhinged. Germans were like kind of awkward and shy. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all out. These guys loved my little performance. I always do the hardest song possible, like Bohemian Rhapsody or this one. So enjoy and take a comment. Okay, just for a little context, that was in 2018. I was living in Spain. I went to Germany to visit one of my best friends from growing up. Just little funk down chomp just kind of just came out of my mouth all the time. Anyway, I meow things when I don't know the words, and I couldn't read the words because they were behind me. I was trying to dance, you know. Anyway, just a little context. Let me know if you saw the karaoke, and voila.